Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's start. Well, we will try to be very, very careful with the time. As you know, the Zoom is not the same that any other thing. So we will try to be more or less inflexible. Sorry for the word, but inflexible with the times. But I would like to start today this meeting saying, first of all, thank you very much to be there. I know it's very difficult for many people to be there at that time. And I would like to share my screen just for a few moments, for a few minutes. Let me see. And just to say welcome to the meeting. I know that you are not can you see my screen or not?
Yes.
In a full way or not?
No, it's not in the presentation mode.
Not in the presentation mode. Yeah, well, I know. I don't know why, because until yesterday everything was fine. So now it's not.
We can see it. We can see it. So
Anyway, no, yes. Well, anyway, if I cannot show the presentation, I will show the screen in the normal way, which is this one. So one more time. No.
You have to click the present.
No problem. The most important thing is that everyone, that is you, not me, but I will share again and we'll start again. Well, welcome to the IAU 367 symposium. This is a symposium on education and heritage in the era of big data in astronomy. This symposium is only possible because we receive a help of a lot of people. Here, the organizers, the sponsors. Now the sponsors and organizers are a bit mixed because we needed a lot of things to transform this symposium into a virtual one. But we as a scientific committee want to give our thanks, deeply thanks, to the people at the IAU, Ewine, Debra, Teresa, Jose Miguel, who made possible this encounter. Here, I would like to give also the deeply thanks to the whole scientific committee. Here, all the faces. And as you know, Rosa Ros is the co-chair of this scientific committee, but in fact, everyone worked very, very near and very, very hard to produce the final list of contributions. Here is one outside the screen, but it's okay. We have 23 invited talks, 4 for public conferences, 50 oral contributions, more than 100 posters, 3 workshops, and 1 roundtable, and 2 associated events, which are the Galaxy Forum and the Light Pollution Workshop. This is the map of our symposium. This is the countries from where the people came from the symposium, and in numbers we have more than 1,600 registered people from the 5 continents. And if we consider Antarctica, which well, there Argentina and many other countries have bases, we can say that we have people from the 6 continents. A lot of people, a lot of contribution, a very hard work to select the presentations for today. The other acknowledgement is for the local organizing committee. This is a new organizing committee because there are many people who originally was at the original place for the symposium, Bariloche, like Nicolás and Mariana. But now everything changed and we are here in Argentina, but in Mendoza. I'm at my office. And we include more people from Mendoza, and also we include, and thank you very much, Rosaria D'Antonio, which is helping us along the symposium. Here, Silvina, Alexis, Rocio, Luciano, Javier, Facundo, all the people here in the list, and you can see all the people as co-hosts, is ready to help you. This is the website of the symposium. We have a homepage where you can access the different areas of the symposium. First of all, the program, but you have the invited speakers, the oral sessions, poster sessions, and so on. Each area with the speakers and the instructions to access. The website is detailed on the right, top on the right. We have two ways for the transmission: the Zoom platform, the webinar, and also we are transmitting online by YouTube. And well, at the end of the day, all the talks will be uploaded to the YouTube channel with the opening and ending plates to be sure about who was the speakers. And I think that is all for a moment. Just enjoy the IAU symposium. And I would like to introduce now Juan Pablo Paz, who is the representative from the Ministry of Science and Technology in Argentina. Juan Pablo is the Secretary of Articulation, the Scientific and Technological Articulation. And well, Juan Pablo, please, the stage is yours.
So thank you, Beatriz. It is an honor to be here. I feel very strange because maybe it would be more appropriate to be here if the meeting was really in Argentina. And I'm sorry you are not here this time. The invitation to the minister was submitted, Beatriz told me, like a year ago. When the meeting was being organized. We started our term in office in December 10, so it's 1 year ago exactly before I was...
Juan Pablo,
yes.
Can you turn on the camera, please?
Oh, yeah. I thought it was on. I don't know.
Well, I will... No, yes, I will give you more...
It says that I cannot start it because you are not allowing me.
Try now.
Should I?
Yes, I think you must... Yes.
Okay, now I'm here. Okay, sorry again. I was saying that we started our term in office in December 10, 1 year ago. I'm a physicist, so I remember I attended a couple of IAU symposium, one in Buenos Aires like 35 years ago when I was a graduate student in the Teatro San Martín, Buenos Aires. And so it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm sorry that you are not all in Argentina this time. Being this a global meeting, probably it would be more appropriate if the UN representative was sitting here. Because this is fully international. You are all over the world at this moment. And I'm happy that Beatriz and the local team were able to organize this in a very difficult situation. Being this a virtual meeting says it all, basically. We hope that before the next eclipse, you come to Argentina and in a different situation. So I was just saying that the organization started more than a year ago for this meeting. Our participation in the ministry started 1 year ago. We had only 2 months of normal work, and then the pandemic started. The scientific community in Argentina reacted, and we are proud in the way that the scientists that were called to participate in several efforts regarding the health situation mostly, and the social situation that created this terrible period that we are going through. We are proud, and it means that scientists not only look at the frontier of knowledge, trying to solve the most interesting and fascinating questions that humanity had from the very beginning, and astronomy is such a field, trying to answer questions about the universe itself, the origin, and so on. But also you look at your fellow, to the other persons that are around you. We cannot, as scientists in Argentina, forget that we are living in a region of the world which is one of the ones with the highest inequality in social terms, and we have to act responsibly. So I think that the scientific community in Argentina is reacting responsibly, and part of this is thinking of what science can do to change people's lives in situations as complicated as this one. And focusing in education, as you are doing now, is one of the best ways to do it. The contribution of scientists, and in this case astronomers and astrophysicists, but it's also true for science in general. To education is essential, and I think that the lessons that astronomy can teach us in the education field are very deep and very important. So I'm looking forward to the developments in this meeting, and I want to congratulate you, Beatriz, and all the organizing team in Argentina and outside. And I really hope that the next year or so, sooner than later, you are organizing a meeting like this in presence in Argentina. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Juan Pablo, for your words and to be here. Yes, I know you are a very busy guy, so thank you very much. And now, without any other break, I would like to invite Ewine. Ewine van Dishoeck is the president of IAU, so I know that if the meeting were presential, if we were in Bariloche, Ewine cannot be here. So to me, it's a pleasure to change the symposium to a virtual one, because this permits us to see and to hear the voice of, to see Ewine and to hear her voice, and to give our deeply thanks to be here. Thank you very much, Ewine, and please, your time.
Okay, good. Well, thanks very much, Beatriz. Thanks, Juan Pablo, for these nice words. Welcome to everybody. It's wonderful to see so many of you here on the line, although I cannot see your faces, but at least I can see all of your names. Because this is an important IAU symposium. It's the first one that is really dedicated to education. And it's also a first in the sense that it is the first fully virtual IAU symposium. So I think this symposium will really go down in memories for many reasons. Not because of the eclipse that we had planned originally, but for many other reasons, this is really a first in terms of IAU symposium. So I think we all wish we could have been there in Argentina this week. And I know that many of you are suffering because of the pandemics. I think all of us wish that we were back to our sort of normal world where we can see and share and enjoy each other's company. Yet, certainly the pandemic has brought on some new developments, that we have been able to use the new technologies, that even though we are so far away from each other, and indeed we're spread across the entire globe. I saw already people from Japan joining, and from the US, and from Latin America, and from Europe. So we are far away from each other, and yet we are more connected than ever during this pandemic. And so I think this picture that was sort of made during the Pale Blue Dots celebration that we had earlier this year, where we all together join and look back at our planet Earth, is still as valid as ever. So education always starts with inspiration. And what is more inspirational than the night sky? And you can even enjoy it now. Everybody is still, across the entire globe, can still view it, and even with proper social distancing, as you see over here. And that will allow anybody around the world to ask these basic questions as to, you know, what is our place actually in this big universe? And then use astronomy as an inspiration for science. And that is sort of one of the main points that I'll come back to also at the end. Since we have a lot of people online that may not be familiar with the International Astronomical Union, I thought I should say a few words about our organization. So we're basically the worldwide union of all of the professional astronomers, meaning PhD level and above. And our mission is very simple. It's to promote and safeguard astronomy in all of its aspects through international cooperation. So that's really the international, the worldwide part is what makes us unique from, say, local or regional societies. And these days, that's much more than just research. That also includes communication, it includes education, and it includes development. And that is why it's so important that we now also have an IAU symposium dedicated to education, because it's such an integral part now of our union. We were founded a little over a century ago. We have more than 12,000 members with more than 100 nationalities and 82 member countries. And we have increasing diversity, including our junior members. Indeed, what is the IAU in terms of its office? Well, it's basically run by the officers that you see over here. And then indeed, Rosaria D'Antonio, who is on the line here, is our head of administration, and Madeleine Smith is the database manager. So we have a very small office actually in Paris. We were founded in Brussels in 1919, and we actually used the 100-year celebration in order to look back at what 100 years of astronomy has brought to society. I can recommend some of you to actually go back to that video, because it actually also had an important education component, where so we had some very good speakers there also on education. So that is still very useful actually to go back to that celebration. We used the 100 years in order to carry out a lot of activities across the globe. It was sort of a roller coaster, a big boom sort of activities, many of them also educational, more than 5,000 of them in more than 140 countries. And we reached more than 5 to 10 million people directly, and more than 100 million people total there. And you can download the report from our website. So what does the IAU do? Well, actually in 2018, we adopted a new strategic plan for the coming decades. And again, this is posted at our IAU website, and I can really encourage you to simply download it and browse a little bit through it. It's a fairly thick document, but by simply browsing through it, I think you'll get a flavor of what the IAU is doing. And as I said, it's much more than just advancing research. It's also the training that has been active since 1919. It's also the training, which is of course education of young astronomers. We do that through our Office of Young Astronomers that's hosted in Norway. And the key aspect of that is the International School of Young Astronomers that has been going on since 1967 and has been very successful in training astronomers in developing countries. Then came the Office of Astronomy for Development. So not the development of astronomy, but astronomy for development. using astronomy as a tool in developing countries. That's hosted at Cape Town. Then we have the Office of Astronomy Communication, of Astronomy Outreach, that's hosted in Tokyo. And then we have our brand new Office of Astronomy Education that is hosted actually in Heidelberg. So this is our family. And of course, there are lots of interactions. You see only a few lines drawn here, but there are, of course, all kinds of interactions between these offices and the central part of the IAU. So the IAU is in the first place of bringing people together worldwide. And indeed, Juan Pablo was already mentioning the General Assembly that was actually in Argentina in the, what was it, the 1980s, I think. No, in the early 1990s, I think it was. And that is, of course, of bringing people together worldwide. And we have it only once every 3 years. And it was supposed to be in Busan in 2021, but unfortunately, due to the pandemic, just recently, a few days ago, we had to announce the postponement until 2022. And then we have the next upcoming one is actually then after that is in South Africa in 2024. But we also have regional meetings, the LARIM, for example, in South America. I think in Antofagasta last year was very successful, and this is also a way of bringing astronomers together. We organized in divisions and commissions, and here especially Division C is very relevant on education, outreach, and heritage, and especially then the commissions that are under that. C1 on astronomy, development, and education, and C4 on world heritage of astronomy, which are directly related to it. But the big data part, and that's also part of this symposium, comes in under Division B, facilities, technologies, and data science. So that's how we link sort of various aspects of the IAU actually together in this one symposium. Just a few words about Astronomical Heritage. This is actually one of my favorites working groups. I always love to see all of these pictures of how astronomy has actually inspired sort of the creation of these various structures across the world. This is from the presentation of Clive Ruckles here in South America, in Peru. Of course, there are many examples across the world that you see and that are really also linked with the UNESCO World Heritage Center, the Astronomy and the World Heritage, and which we will hear more about during this conference. What else does the IAU do? We have astronomical standards, of course, very important. Naming of astronomical objects and surface features. So on the other part, the dark and quiet sky protection. That's actually a working group that is very active at this very moment in connection with the satellite constellations, for example, but also the radio quiet sky. Very important, the protection of that. And then we have our global coordination of large facilities that has regular meetings. We just recently had one on transients in South Africa just before the lockdown that actually also addressed a lot of these big data issues that you may be considering here. In all of our activities, we try to stimulate women and diversity through our working groups in Women in Astronomy, junior members, diversity and inclusiveness working groups, wonderful activities like the Inspiring Stars, or here that you see in the sign language that is happening. In fact, every year around the International Day of Women and Girls in Science in February, we try to sort of worldwide have activities that promote sort of science education, especially for women and diversity. And in fact, we had an IAU symposium, again, before the lockdown in 2019, specifically dedicated to the topic of equity, diversity, and inclusion in Japan. And out of that meeting actually comes a springboard to action that also Beatriz has played a large role in. Susanna Listea, I see also on the line here, has played a large role in that. Lina Canas and others, and that is about to be launched still before the end of the year. So that's a very important outcome of that springboard to action there. We stimulate also diversity and young astronomers through the Grouper Fellowship, and I'm especially highlighting this to make people aware that there's a deadline coming up on March 31st. You can actually propose for that, put in a proposal if you're a young astronomer that is online. Also, in fact, for the division prizes, PhD prizes, the deadline for that is December 15, and we really would welcome also nominations in Division C, actually people that are active there for both of these prizes, both the PhD prize and the Grouper Fellowships, because they come either with travel funds or they come with research funding. So this is a wonderful opportunity that you should try and use. As part of our activities, we do have education, training and development. I mentioned already the International School for Young Astronomers, and in fact, there have been ISIAs in the Latin American region not so long ago. Colombia in 2018, Honduras in 2015. There was supposed to be one in Mexico this year, which is obviously postponed. But there's also hands-on training at telescopes, especially also with big data. And that's what you see here in the JEDI project in South Africa, using gravity as an inspiration for teaching through the Einstein schools that we had. But also you can use the climate change on other planets, like using Venus with a runaway greenhouse effect in order to teach, use it as a way of teaching children. The strength of the IAU is really that we have worldwide networks. We have worldwide networks of the OAD, the Office of Astronomy for Development, that you see here across the world, also in terms of language, because language is a very important part, being able to translate the material into the major and also minor languages, and Portuguese is definitely one of them. That is very important here for the also the Latin American region. The OAO has its own network of outreach coordinators that you see over here, and a similar network is now for the national education coordinators also being built up by the OAE. So this is really the strength of the IAU, that we have this worldwide network where we can roll out things. And so, for example, when Paolo Britones came up with this idea of an astronomy day in schools as part of our IAU 100 celebrations, we were able to roll that out with 500 events in 70 countries to get a lot of people actually engaged, as you see over here. And then, of course, these you train not only directly the students, but you also can train the teachers, and that has also always been a very active part of the IAU and beyond, through Galileo teacher training, the NASE, Rosa Ross, of course, very active in that area, UNAVE, Space EU, Open Astronomy Schools, and again, across the world, from Mongolia to Principe Islands, to Africa, to Southeast Asia, etc. So this is really the strength of the IAU that we need to be able to develop further. So let me say a few words on the new Office of Astronomy for Education. You will have a special talk about this more from John Herschel coming up. But this was really one of the new goals of the strategic plan, to use astronomy for teaching and education at school level, rather than at, say, university level. And so the objectives were to establish this network of the education coordinators, to analyze use of astronomy in teaching, to provide materials, guidelines. Again, these are all things that you will talk about much more during this conference, but I just want to highlight a few key words: materials, guidelines, liaise with educational ministries, encourage standards. That's an important part as well. Schools, international schools also for teachers, for education, and then databases of volunteer IAU members that can contribute to teaching. So to sort of wrap up my introductory talk, It's clear that education enters the IAU at many different levels. It enters in terms of educating the next generation of astronomers. We do that through our IAU meetings. That's basically at PhD level, at postdoc level. We do it through the International Schools for Young Astronomers. That's at master levels, beginning PhD levels. We do it through the OAD, that has some schools at various levels, sometimes at more advanced levels, sometimes also at, say, bachelor levels. We also use, on the other hand, astronomy for education. That's what the OAE is doing. So that's basically at school level. And then, of course, the OAO, which goes across, I would say, the full spectrum of the general public. But it includes, of course, the children all the way down to kindergarten, to school level, but also to the general public. And it means if you look at this broad range, that you actually need material. You need material at many different levels, and you need it in many different languages. And again, this is where the strengths of the IAU can come in. So, for example, if I were somebody who wants to look at an exoplanet module, I want to say something to my school on exoplanets. You need actually materials at different levels. Young children, high school, college, non-science science majors, and universities. And so this is where I think sort of this having the access to the materials at different levels that you see over here, Big Ideas in Astronomy, Teach Astronomy, the wonderful material that Chris Impey is putting out, AstroEDU as part of the IAU, where you can look for educational material more aimed at younger children. So I think this is a very important aspect, that we have that material actually available at different levels. But it's more than just material. You need the engagement, you need the learning. And I always like this quote from Benjamin Franklin: "Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I may remember. Involve me and I learn." And so I think this is also part of what we are going to do this week, is really see not just the material, but also really how you actually teach. And this is summarized again in workshops, in journals, and this nice review paper that just came out from Steve Pompeo and Pedro Russo. But this is also where we start engaging with, for example, science museum, planetaria, where we can use sort of their wonderful setups in order to involve and to really teach material in a different way than just a classroom opportunity. So I want to end here. Maybe a question to the audience at the end of the workshop. It would be very helpful to have some feedback from you. You know, which of all of these different levels of education do we need to focus on most? Which ones need strengthening most? I think that would be an interesting question to address at the end of this workshop, maybe during one of the roundtable discussions. But it's clear that astronomy is really uniquely suited in order for science education. These are the words of Minister Pandor just recently at the United Nations meeting. She says that astronomy really inspires curiosity, it inspires optimism, it inspires hope. And that is what our society needs. Because we need optimism, we need hope, we need curiosity as a driver for innovation. Not necessarily in astronomy, it's just innovation in society in general. And I think that is what astronomy brings. So let's make sure that we use, again, this week, to harness the inspiration of astronomy for science education. I wish you a very good week. I'll try to join at least part of the meeting, and I hope you have a very fruitful symposium. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your inspiring words, Ewine. We are very, very happy that you gave this talk, and we hope that you join us along the week. I know you are a very busy person.
There are at least 2 symposia going on this week, but I definitely will join several parts of this symposium. Yes.
But well, I hope, and we all hope that we can answer your question at the end of the symposium. And well, thank you very much.